A woman turned to a pillar of salt. How do y'all think that happened? It was a solar eclipse. And that sun came back. Everything that had meat in it, disintegrated. As soon as they looked at that sun, went right through their whole body. I'm trying to tell you. I'm trying to tell you. But everybody's interpretation can be different.
That's a fact.
Some people. That's why I asked you. Like, what do you? Some people think Christian is go to church every Sunday. Some people think Christian is follow the ways of the Messiah. Some people think
Yeah.
Christian. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's interpretation is different. That's why I had to see where you coming from.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not one of those guys. Like I like like I'm not partial. Like the definition's clear. It's either you follow the commandments or you don't. You know,
Yeah.
has nothing to do with church. You saying that heaven or hell, right? You were talking about that this could be a 50-50.
No, it is 50-50.
Break that down like quickly for me. Well, because I was listening to what you were saying, but I was trying to understand
Do
your
you want me to
perspective
break?
a little deeper.
Do you want me to break it down in a scientific format, or do you want me to just break it down like literally, like in what way?
Speak to me as if I was a child.
Okay. If you were a child, I would tell you that, and I would probably put it in a scientific perspective because children go to school, but everything on this earth has an opposing force. Do you agree with that?
Is it opposite? Yeah.
Yeah. So you got fire, ice, you got feminine, masculine. Everything,
Mm-hmm.
everything a human being has is two. You have 2 eyes, 2 hands, 2 feet, 2 of every tooth, because this realm is a choice. You have carnivore, herbivore, omnivores, undecided. So
Okay.
everything has an opposing force. So when somebody applies the knowledge of the Bible, is it not saying the same thing? Good and evil? Two
Okay.
opposing forces? So therefore, it would make it 50-50 if you go to hell or heaven. Does it make sense?
Okay.
So for
So
somebody
then,
to
go
go
ahead.
ahead,
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut. No, I didn't mean to cut you off. My fault.
you good, you good. So for somebody to say that they believe that heaven exists, it doesn't apply to the laws of polarity, which is science, right? And these are most people who believe in the theories of science. You see what I'm saying? So you have to accept both. Like if you create a battery on a car, you have to have positive charges and a negative charge. This is the laws of physics. Like you have to, you know what I'm saying? You have to have an opposing force. So that proves my theory. It's 50-50.
Yeah, it makes sense. I would say so. What would you explain? I'm sure you're familiar with Revelation. So what would you explain the lake of fire then? Because that's most
The
people's
lake of fire.
understand. Yeah, that's most people's understanding of what hell is, right? When we think of hell, because it's described like that.
Well, the lake of fire, I would say that would be on Earth. Like I explained, I don't know how long you've been on like listen to me, but like I explained already, the Earth was once from 600 to 1300 degrees Fahrenheit. Literally, it was that hot. This is why we have cactuses, volcanoes, gold, metal, silver, titanium. You take a ball of clay, you put it in a ceramic furnace, you turn it up from 600 to 1300 degrees. That ball of clay will turn into magma, which is lava. If you cool the furnace down, how hot is it outside? 55 degrees, it'll turn into metal. You see what I'm saying? So that proves my theory that the earth had to be that hot for us to have metal, gold, silver, titanium. They didn't just fall out the sky. Does it make sense? Does that make sense? I don't know what's wrong with I don't know what happened to him, bro. I don't know. I don't know if you clicked out, bro. You can come back though.
Yeah, I got a call, man. So I don't know what it is. Like whenever you get phone calls and when you're on live, I guess it just does something weird with the audio. So yeah. Yeah,
But
no,
yeah, do you get what I'm saying though?
I do get it. Because like I guess most people's understanding of like where the lake of fire is because remember, so the word hell is and the etymology behind the word hell is Hebrew for Sheol, and it means place of resting. So it doesn't really equate to the fiery place or the scientific definitions that you provided. So that would mean that would it would mean more like heaven or lake of fire is maybe what you're referring to. If I was to alter
No,
what I'm
there's
saying.
two types of hell though. Like I don't know if you heard me say this, but it's two types of hell. It's physical death and it's a spiritual death. The physical death is going to be right here on Earth. This is what they call global warming. They've already estimated that Singapore will be underwater in the next 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
The sea level is rising. I don't know if you noticed, this is why we're having all these hurricanes. And with the sea level rising, that's proving that the Earth is getting hotter. So eventually, even in Revelation, it says the river in the Euphrates will dry up. It's already dried up, and that's in Revelation. So, in other words, it's gonna get so hot. The rocks are going to turn into magma. This is how hot it's going to be. The rocks are going to turn into magma, and it's going to be in the sea. And before you know it, the whole sea will turn into lava. This is what the lake of fire is. It's lava. Does it make sense?
It makes sense
This is
scientifically.
why they even estimated, National Geographic estimated that by 2030, the whole world will be full of melanated beings. National Geographic.
Yeah,
Yeah. So,
scientifically, when you break it down, it makes sense. I'm trying to understand, like again, like the whole lake of fire, then because when it's described in Revelations, it's a place where the soul, because you've explained it in full, right? You said that it's two separate deaths, which I do agree with. And then when you read Revelation, it says that the second death, which is basically the killing of the soul, and it's also going to be a place for where his minions, right? So I just don't know where that is, right? So I think what you're saying, I guess I have to do more research on what you're saying before I can even maybe further the conversation on that aspect of it. But yeah,
but
because I'm like,
I've heard like some of my friends that had dreams about hell, and they've told me like there's different levels of hell. But as far as my knowledge goes, this is what God is given me. The information that He's given me is the bottomless pit,
right.
which is a portal that goes into the moon. This is what God revealed to me. That's why he explained to me that this is why we see sun moon every day, because this is the crossroads. Like this is judgment. We're literally like in a big courtroom. You understand? So when we die, our spirit ascends into either the sun or the moon, depending on what does not nature identify as us as. Does that make sense? And he
So
told me, so I said,
are you alluding to like the portals of the moon and the sun are
one leads to
have,
life, the other leads to death.
but
And
if they
this is
both
what
give life, then how would that phonetically make sense? Because they both give life, right? So how would one lead to life and then one would lead to death?
you said. What gives life?
The sun
The
and the
moon.
moon. Yeah.
You sure? The moon gives life.
Yeah, it gives life. It gives light. It's a part of like
The
what
moon.
it lights.
The moon is like. Let me just give you an example. The moon is like a mosquito light. It's just like the sun. It brings forth heat. The opposing force of that is cold. Now, usually when it's cold, you get sick.
Okay.
It's made. The purpose of the moon is made to kill off the things that are not going according to nature. The purpose of it is, like, for example, you have a wolf. Right? Usually wolves howl at the moon. Really, they're not howling, they're crying because they know when they die, that's where they will ascend to. So breaking it down, when a carnivore eats meat, they're attracted to the moon. They're drawn to it, right? As far as carnivores go, the more they go towards the moon, the colder they get. So in tune, killing them. Does that make sense?
Hmm. Okay, I'm listening.
If life comes from the sun, if life itself comes from the sun, life itself is in the sun. The moon is cold like a dead corpse. This is why you see a moon in the graveyards and all that, because that's where it leads to death. So whenever they talk about like abductions or spacecraft, right, and you see the little dots on the spacecraft and then they abduct you, what you're really seeing is being abducted into hell. Does that make sense? That's why
So
when you eat cookies, when you eat a cookie, you're really seeing the moon. When you eat pizza, you're really seeing the moon. When you eat a birthday cake, you're really seeing the moon. When you eat a burger bun, you're really seeing the moon. These are witches. They're programming people to go to the moon. Man on the moon. The moon is like,
okay.
I don't know if you've seen I Am Legend. I mean not I Am Legend, but uh Iron Man.
Yeah, yes,
Remember when
yes.
he went into orbit? He flew into orbit and he froze in midair?
Okay.
He was going towards the moon. It's ice. It's impossible to go there. Does it make sense? Because it's not a physical thing. It's a portal. It's a door.
So
It's not like
okay.
the doors you know.
So how would you explain? Because the reason why I had said the moon does give life is because it plays a role in balancing the ocean tides, and
Mhm.
so like balancing the ocean tides, the combination of Earth's gravity and the gravitational pull, things of that sort, right? So that also reflects obviously how we interact with nature, and providing those, like, because water is essential, right, to our total existence. So that's what I was saying.
Mhm.
Like, like for what your theory is, I'm just trying to understand it because it states that yeah, it does give some type of life, but it doesn't equate to the same life of as what you described as the sun. It's like, as you mentioned earlier, it's a polarity. It's just an opposite.
Mhm.
So
So what are
how
you
would you
asking?
so how would you explain that? Like, it does give life, right? So you're saying, but it's death. It's a representation of death.
No, the sun gives life. Life itself comes from the sun. But the moon is the opposite. This is how everything functions. A battery, even humans, we have our counterparts are feminine as far as male. So in order for things to function in this realm that we're in, it has to be two opposing forces. Is it like that on the other side? Who knows? But as far as right here on this planet,